Well, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to KTN Weekend at 1. My name is Wilson Buru. I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. We'll start off in Mandera, where we have Ian Wafula on the phone to give us the latest update on the situation in Mandera town. You can remember that there was a renewed inter-clan fighting in that county. Ian, a very good afternoon to you. Can you please tell us exactly what is the latest at this moment?
Good afternoon, Wilson. And just to mention that the recent clashes between the Gara and the Digodia clans began in Ramu town. And so we have been in Ramu town for 2 days now. Today, the tension is not as high as compared to yesterday, where as soon as we arrived yesterday, we found that houses were on fire and the streets were deserted. But today, there's a general sense of calm. And the reason now concern is that what happens to the children who are supposed to begin school tomorrow. So we've had a chance to talk to head teachers, and they have also been affected by these clashes, because you find that some of the schools that were being headed by, for example, a particular head teacher from one of the clans, the schools were touched. Even crucial documents such as KCPE certificates are also reduced to ashes. However, the Kenya Red Cross is continuing to provide humanitarian assistance for the over 18,000 households that have so far been displaced. A majority of those affected being the mothers and children, who are now taking refuge near police camps and the Red Cross camps for access of security and food. We are being in Ramu town. We've also had reports of militia throwing grenades back in Mandera town, and so we are trying to also follow up on that, and we shall be updating you in our subsequent bulletins, and we shall also tell you what's the way forward for the schools within this particular sub-county, that is Ramu sub-county. Wilson?
Ian, just before I let you go, one last question. What is the security? What is the security operation at this moment? What are the police telling you? What do we know about the security apparatus being put in place now?
There's a general effort by the administration, police, and the Kenya Defense Forces. They are currently doing patrols within town. After every around 5 minutes, you can spot an armored vehicle making movements within town. And generally, the people here say that this has helped calm down the people. And since Wednesday, there hasn't been any case of gunfire being reported. Otherwise, before the police came in, the situation was worse. So at least we can say that security has been upheld through the joint effort by the Kenya Defense Forces and the administration police.
Well, thank you very much, Ian. We'll, of course, keep talking to you so that you can give us more details and updates on the situation in Mandera. That was Ian Wafula. He is in Mandera in Ramu, where he says that the security situation has been improved. There has been no reported gunfire or torched houses since Wednesday, and the tension is subsiding at the moment. We will, of course, keep you up to date on that story as it continues to unfold. Let's move over to Budalangi, where we have Francis Ontuoma on the line. If you remember, the day before yesterday, last night actually, a boat capsized in Budalangi. Ontuoma, a very good afternoon to you. Could you tell us, have the bodies that were missing, apparently 8 people were reported missing, have they been retrieved so far?
A very good afternoon, Wilson. We are here at Siginga, that is in Budalangi. And actually, it's a chilly afternoon here, an afternoon characterized by a lot of desperation and anxiety here from locals. Just to bring you up to speed on the very latest it's that so far until now, 8 bodies are feared to be still in the waters, and they are yet to be retrieved. And until now, we are seeing an operation on ground. Police officers are here, and largely though the operation is being led here by locals. Locals are trying to use boats inside the waters, using long sticks, trying to look and find whether they will be able to bring out these bodies. And for those who have been here, they say that this is something that has been happening. Boat capsizing is not a new phenomenon here. And whenever this happens, they actually give it some time. They are saying 24 hours from now, the bodies might have now managed now to come up and float on the waters. Up till now, it's just a body of a 3-year-old boy that was actually retrieved yesterday after the tragedy occurred. A lot of desperation here. Families are camping here. I think tents around the shores of River Nzoia here. They are here. They are saying that they will not leave this place until they are able to get the bodies of their loved ones. We managed to speak to Samia OCPD, Mr. Sama Wario. And actually he's saying that the operation is ongoing, and by evening they'll be having a more clear report on what is happening here. But one thing that I can tell you is that Sama Wario himself is appealing to the public, for those who may find the loved ones missing, to come and actually report to them, because it's not clear how many people could be in the waters, because this boat, we are told, was in full capacity, that is 16 people. And one body was retrieved yesterday, and we had a few people who swam and saved their lives, meaning that we could still be having like 8 people still in the waters. Wilson.
All right, thank you very much, Francis. We will, of course, be relying on you to tell us exactly what is going on in Budalang. We hope that that situation is resolved as soon as possible, so that the families of those who were in that accident can get answers. Let's move over to politics. And the National Assembly Deputy Speaker Dr. Joyce Laboso has dismissed the push for a referendum, terming it as premature and aimed at derailing the Jubilee government's development agenda. Laboso says the proponents of the plebiscite mission is to discredit the government in its agenda and use it for their political expediency in readiness for the next general election. She added that devolution is a new thing in this country, which still needs more time to enable structures to be properly laid down, while terming the call for a referendum as premature. She said since the Jubilee government took office, it has been grappling with a lot of challenges, and the current political heat would be detrimental to the realization of the envisaged development goals.
We are not there.
The referendum, in my view, there is no time to go to the referendum now. Patia nafasi Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. Give them a chance. Wacha wapewe nafasi kidogo wafanye kazi. So ile ukianza kuongea maneno ya scorecard, they will have nothing to show, kwa sababu wamekuwa wakingangana na referendum, wanangangana na terrorists, wanangangana na floods, until they will be just firefighting problems.
Still on that referendum push, and the TNA Youth League has dismissed the court's push for referendum, saying the issues being raised can be addressed through administrative channels without necessarily calling for a referendum. Addressing the media this morning, the group said that the Constitution of Kenya is still undergoing implementation and the opposition should be patient with the government.
The issues that we are talking about here, issues of devolution, are all administrative. It can be taken care of through the administrative structures that are available. You don't need to change the constitution to address that. The Office of the Auditor General has always asked for more money, has always asked for capacity to be able to move fast. And so when we are talking about, we are still using the audited accounts of the last, about 2 years ago, it is because there is an administrative issue we can take care of. The first people who thought about doing a national dialogue was the government. CORD hijacked the government's idea about a national dialogue and set their own terms and ran away with the ideas. So we will end up not having a national dialogue as had been thought about, with one of the UN agencies to actually look through it. So we had to leave it for them, but CORD ran away with the idea of the national dialogue. It was not even their idea. It was government's idea. They actually had been invited, and then they ran away with doing grandstanding.
Rural Electrification Authority has announced plans to connect 1 million new households in rural areas across the country by December of 2015. The exercise, which will cost 11 billion shillings, will be rolled out this financial year. According to the firm's chairman, Simon Gisharu, all public primary schools will be the first priority. He, however, challenged those to benefit to take the responsibility of guarding electricity equipment, citing vandalism and theft of transformers as a major challenge to electricity access. He called on Parliament to draft and pass a bill which will categorize transformers and electricity connection equipment vandalism as economic crimes which attract heavy fines from offenders.
The Rural Electrification Authority is very much set to ensure all public primary schools have got electricity. Now, as we electrify the rural areas, then we will be talking about creating more jobs. We will create more welders, we will create more electricians, and so on and so forth.
There was action outside the pitch in the ongoing Prinsloo Rugby tournament in Nakuru. 22 drivers will tomorrow be arraigned in court for drunk driving. Police in Nakuru laid traps along major roads and most of the motorists failed the test.
The weekend, coupled with the rugby Prinsloo game in Nakuru, was a bit rough for some of Nakuru residents. ALCO-BLOW had descended into the town, especially West Road and Eldama Ravine Nakuru Road. Who was unto those who drank and drove? As usual, police had difficult time in getting drivers blowing into the device, taking NTSA officials into task of demonstrating. Both men and women, young and old, were cornered. All those who took the test had their results displayed to them, as most of them had a higher alcohol content detected, though this man recorded the highest. Those found on the wrong were arrested and their vehicles towed.
Ushikwapo shikamana, that's what the police officer said. Let's move on. The Parliamentary Committee on Trade is currently meeting Kisumu County leaders as they embark on a fact-finding mission with respect to the troubled cotton industry. Cotton, along with sugarcane, was once a popular cash crop in Western Kenya, where thousands of farms were under the crop that sustained an entire sector. The committee will then tour the collapsed Kisumu Cotton Mills factory that was once the largest cotton processor in the country. KICOMI collapsed in 1999 and was one of the largest direct employers in the region, enlisting 2,000 employees to process cotton that farmers in Nyanza, Western and Rift Valley harvested. Its collapse was attributed to the scrapping of price controls that resulted in the unregulated liberalization of the cotton sector.
We are going to improve on the agriculture, because cotton is coming from Uganda and Tanzania, and you know the whole of this area is cotton growing area.
We don't have land as we speak. There are people now in Mombasa. We have failed to get government land enforcement because all of it has issues. By the time we are through, it may be 5 years from now. So what we are now trying to do is to see how we get a PPP partnership.
The Somali National Army, together with the African Union Mission in Somalia, AMISOM, have captured Bulo Marer town, which served as a major route for the Al-Shabaab group south of Somalia capital Mogadishu. Speaking after the operation, Brigadier General Dick Olum from the AMISOM said the town provided steady income for the Al-Shabaab group through extortion and forceful taxation of residents and travelers. The Al-Shabaab are said to have resisted by firing back to the AMISOM-led troops before burning tires in the town. With the capture of the Buro Marel town in the Somali National Army and the AMISOM troops are now targeting Barawe town. The operation launched by the SNA and AMISOM troops seeks to liberate more territory from the Al-Shabaab insurgents.
A well-planned operation under the battle group commander, battle group number 12, battle group 12, with the 37 battalion, 43 battalion, and 61 battalion. This location of Bulamarel was actually the responsibility of 37 battalion, and they moved in smartly, cautiously, and we took over the city at exactly 1:30 hours. So it means our operation has been so successful. It means we planned very well.
But UBDF force, we appreciate Ugandan force. They came by force and they beaten them, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, by stick as a child.
Let's go to a rather tragic story. And a family in Hamisi constituency, Vihiga County, is reeling from an ugly incident where two of their daughters were allegedly defiled on the same day and infected with HIV. What's worse, their aging grandfather could not afford bus fare to attend to court sessions in the trial of the man they accused of committing the act. And so the outcome of the court case has left them devastated.
Midday at Kipchakwen Village, Hamisi constituency. A rock-strewn topography welcomes you to a village with some very dark tales. One such story involves two minors who were allegedly defiled by the same person and infected with HIV. The shocking events are alleged to have occurred on the 2nd of June 2012.
Akanipigia simu akaniambia mjukuu wako amenagisiwa. Nikamuuliza ni nani. Here
poverty is written all over. These two cattle and a goat being the family's greatest possessions. The two children live with 5 other orphans, all under care of the aging grandfather Mzee Samson Agufe, the sole breadwinner who was to go all lengths to fend for the family. On this particular day, we meet him preparing lunch for the children.
Sikukuwa na namna. Sababu nilikosa, ningekuwa na pesa ningechukua lawyer.
Yes, and Leah, not the real names, say that on that fateful day they were lured by the suspect, a neighbor.
Akatudanganya kwa mandazi, akaturepa.
Nakaa nao kwa sababu wazazi wao wote walikufa, na nakaa na hao watoto kama mayatima ambao watoto hawana wazazi, na mimi ndio nateki care na watoto 7 ambao nateki care ambao hawana hata mzazi, na ndio babu mimi ndio nawalea. Naishi nao kwa muda wote tangu wao wadogo mpaka kufikia umri huu walioko sasa.
When the family claims a deliberate scheme to frustrate them, the case was transferred from Hamisi Law Court, which is near their home, to Vihiga. And on several occasions, Mzee Samson Agufe will miss court summons for lack of bus fare to Vihiga.
Guy works at the courts. So the case was supposed to be heard from Hamisi, and you realize that the old man stays just behind the courts of Hamisi. This guy has done to move the case to Vihiga. And this old man traveling from Vihiga for hearings, from Hamisi to Vihiga for hearings was a bit expensive, because this is a mzee who does not work.
A mix-up of names and utter ignorance may have injured their quest to seek justice. Senior Principal Magistrate Grace Mercy ruled that the family was unsure of who they were accusing of the act of defilement, weakening the case. The case was therefore dismissed, and even fetching ARV drugs is a tall order for the old man.
Watu walikuwa wanashitaki makosa ya huyu jamaa alitendea hao watoto. Hawakufuata hiyo, walifahamu tu ujui mtu anashitaki. Sasa ambao hiyo kesi niliona kama wamenizumu kwa sababu sina namna.
Statistics at the Hamisi Law Courts indicate that about 18 defilement cases have so far been handled between the months of January and July. The cases involving mainly children aged below 10 years. Sadly, the cases end up being dismissed for lack of evidence.
After having a fine run in Mombasa last week, Homeboys RFC have been eliminated from the make-up title chase by a resilient Western Bulls 31-17. Moses Wakisi reports from Nakuru.
Homeboys lined up for the first quarterfinals of the Prinsloo Sevens against a more determined Western Bulls. The DJ's prowess was a test, and they were clearly outsmarted to a 31-17 defeat. In another tie, top fry Nakuru impressed the home fans with a narrow 12-5 victory against Queens to set a semi-final tie with Western Bulls. In the Mwamba Strathmore quarter-final, Mwamba had the final laugh with a 12-5 win. Mwamba takes KCB, who marginally won their match with a 14-10 scoreline against Kabras. It's action-packed and all crunchy here at the Nakuru Athletics Club as teams try to navigate their ways to the main cup finals of the Prinsloo Sevens. Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
Well, that's all we had prepared for you this afternoon. Don't forget to join us on KTN Weekend Prime for Checkpoint and Mock the Week. Have yourself a blessed afternoon.